Welcome, fellow Spiritborn, to the Thorns Hundreds of Billions Madness. Technically, the #1 build this season. Practically, we have quite some challenges to overcome to actually get there, if you ever get there. Which two things make this build pop off now? First, your main Spirit Hall Jaguar. Every 15th time you deal direct damage to an enemy with a Jaguar skill, unleash an additional strike dealing 47% of the damage you have dealt to them in the last 0.5 seconds. Now this means we need to do a lot of damage in a short amount of time to then have it go absolutely bonkers together. For this you got Balazans Maxlatl. Each attack damages close enemies for 150% of your thorns and also deals 100% of this damage as poisoning over 3 seconds. Each time you've retaliated with thorns, for 5 seconds, the poisoning damage is increased up to 300%. You're now pretty much punching your thorns outward, doing damage, then poisoning your enemy, doing damage, and all of this at the same time with a super amount of attack speed to have your Spirit Hall go vam, 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 vam. And that's actually where your damage comes from. It's not your hits, it's not the poison, it's that you do everything and then the Spirit Hall triggers. The very amazing thing about the build is you can finally play the Razor Blade, the one thing that you kind of find with triple greater affix and you're like, wow, that's trash. It's super useful. But at the same time, it's kind of harsh to use Razor Blade, because if you use the Razor Blade, your survivability drops significantly. But we can make up for that. There's a whole section in the video where we just talk about how to stay alive with Spiritborn. I've seen you struggle, I got the solutions. The version we're playing is the Rake Spiritborn instead of the Quill Volley. This has two reasons. First, Rake is a Jaguar skill, and you're going to be using the Loyalty's Mantle. Now, Loyalty's Mantle says if your Spirit Hall matches, you're playing Jag and Jag Spirit Hall. Then their bonuses are 100% more potent, so our main Spirit Hall goes super crazy, and skills of their base spirit gain Vigor cost reduction, skills of their base spirit gain cooldown reduction. This means that my Rake costs only 12 spirit and my Hunter is down to 8.55 seconds cooldown. Can't get lower at this point. This leads to me having infinite resource that only gets cut short because of my Quox Rune giving me 100% bonus damage, and I'm jumping with my Hunter ulti into the enemies, Vortex pull together, Hunter ulti, smash away with Rake, jump into the next pack, pull together, smash away with Rake, rinse and repeat. It's super fun and engaging because you're flying over the screen, pull the whole screen together, fly further. No matter what kind of content you're going for, the Infernal Hordes, the Pit, the Helltides, you're just zooming through like there's no tomorrow. The only problem you have is speed farming Belial. You do 200, 400 billion damage sometimes when you're actually going through the Pit. But when you're fighting Belial, because he forces you to move around, even with 100% attack speed, I get him killed, but I don't get him killed in 2 to 4 seconds like my Druid does, or like my Necromancer does. That being said, you are the fastest when it comes down to flying through the Pit, and also destroying Pit bosses goes really well. Now, how is the build set up? How do you get more than 100% attack speed? This is 84.1%, but I have more attack speed going in attack speed cap number 2. I'll explain attack speed cap number 2. And most importantly, how do we stay alive and maintain unlimited resource? That's very important because the Quox Rune gives you 100% more damage every 4 seconds if it depletes your Essence Globe, and that 100% more damage goes into your Spirit Hall. The skill tree we're going through is also the one I used for leveling. We get 1 single point in Rake, not more needed because our damage is the Balazans Maxlatl pens, and then we have Advantageous Rake. Hitting at least one enemy with Rake reduces your longest active cooldown. Very good for your ultimate, but also for your Vortex cooldown to really get that fast low again and to keep using it and keep using it. 1 point in Vigor is for the Vigor generation, and also 3 points in Velocity to get Vigor while you're moving. We get our Vortex with a 1 second cooldown reduction on critical strike vortexes. Most importantly though, casting Vortex increases the damage of the next skill by 20%. What you're going to do is Vortex Hunter. Because if you do Vortex Hunter, you get that insane damage boost on your ulti that then goes also, again, into your Spirit Hall. Boost your damage while you're unstoppable, and we're more or less always unstoppable, with bonus damage against vulnerable and bonus damage reduction from vulnerable. We got our Ravager that gives us even more vigor, and then the Toxic Skin passively increasing the Thorns damage we deal to poisoned enemies by 100%. Our enemies are always poisoned because of our Horadric power. Then Armored Hide together with Enhanced Armored Hide. Activate Armored Hide grants you maximum resolve and increases your Thorns by 400 for the duration. Very useful, as the resolve gives us then more damage reduction. What is really important is your ranks into Bastion for the bonus Thorns, and while you have Barrier, your Thorns are also increased. And then we get Auspicious. You accumulate 3% of your maximum life as Barrier every second up to 30%. This helps you to enter every fight barriered up, and if you have bonus Barrier generation, that is even more Barrier than it actually shows. With Nourishment, you're getting another 12% bonus poison damage whenever you heal. Aha! And you want to have that as we're doing poison damage with the Balazans Maxlatl. Potent has our enemies take 30% bonus damage if we hit them with Jaguar skills, and that one you want to have as high as possible with an amulet. I don't have a good amulet yet. Plus Furnace for the bonus critical strike damage. You put all the points into the Hunter, together with the Exalted Hunter for the cooldown reduction, 3 points into Supremacy for damage stacking, with the Resolution casting ultimate skill grants 15% bonus damage, and we kind of always have this as you use your Hunter more or less every 3 seconds. And then we get Intricacy, where if you cast an ultimate skill, the last focus skill can be used again. So you Vortex, Ulti, Vortex, Vortex, Ulti, Vortex, and so on. Lastly, you're playing Noxious Resonance. Your critical strikes cause your poisoning on an enemy to burst, dealing 180% of the total poisoning instantly to them and 20% of the burst to surrounding enemies before removing the poisonous effect from the primary target. We're doing this with the Noxious Resonance because we consistently poison with the Balazans Maxlatl and also our infusion on the Horadric power to then feed the Jaguar Spirit Hall even more. And in order to now get the most damage possible, you need the aspect of Plane's power. This has a chance to create a Mystic Circle that gives you up to 21.5% more damage per stack of Ferocity. If you jump in with your Hunter power, you get the maximum stacks of Ferocity. This will put us at 12 stacks of Ferocity. And currently that would be 12 times 18.9. While I stand in that circle of Plane's power, it's 226.8% bonus damage. Quite crazy. Then we're also tempering the primary Jaguar Spirit Hall potency. Make it even more efficient together with a Mystic Circle potency temper. And that bonus potency works so well together with the Loyalty's Mantle, which is by the way dropping from Jaguar the Galvanic Saint. That gives our Spirit Hall already 100% more potency, and then you boost the potency even further to have more out of it. For the Loyalty's Mantle, you want the greater affix on damage reduction. Damage reduction is king for the Spiritborn to stay alive. Runes on the weapon are Neo and Quax. Quax gives you 100% bonus damage, but depletes your whole resource. For this, we'll have to go for the infinite resource trick later. And then with Neo, you get 200 offering every 2 seconds. So every 4 seconds, Quax will trigger. And as we have consistent barrier up, we don't take damage. Then on the Balazans Maxlatl, which comes from Varshan or Urvar, the greater affix should be on Bastion, preferably also on Thorns, and you want that 150% and then masterwork the Bastion further upwards. And for the Razor Plate, you won't have as many greater affixes as possible. The actual 200% bonus damage as you're hitting outwards, I don't really care about that. I just want a massive amount of Thorns to actually feed into the Maxlatl. Now that Mystic Circle Potency Temper on my weapon is the name of the game. My gloves have it too, Mystic Circle Potency, and I'm trying to masterwork it, Mystic Circle Potency, and Mystic Circle Potency, and you always try to masterwork it. And that's where the problem with the build comes in. I can clear a pit 90 right now, and I do 200, 300 billion damage. If I want to really bring this to the super S tier and clear further, I need to triple masterwork the Jaguar Spirit Hall, I need to triple masterwork the Mystic Circle Potency, triple masterwork the Mystic Circle Potency, and triple masterwork the Mystic Circle Potency. Not only triple masterwork it, I would also have to look that it's as close as possible to the max roll. 22.5% is 1% off. Good. This being 20.9 out of 23.3, that's horrible. That's 3% missing. It's terrible. And here, 20.1 out of 23.3. The same goes here, 36 out of 43. You want the max roll on these potencies so much. And that's what you also need to really scale this to the S tier. Otherwise, your build will just be stuck in the A tier. On your gloves, we're also playing attack speed and armor, so we can actually hit the armor cap. Attack speed is needed, and especially greater affix attack speed, to really get to the 100% attack speed. If you're not having 100% attack speed, you're not getting the most out of the Maxlatl, and you're not getting the most out of the Jaguar Spirit Hall, as you have to do all the most amount of damage at the same time. The aspect for your gloves is the Fell Thusayer, and that one is amazing, because it says, killing a vulnerable enemy echoes the killing blow damage to another nearby enemy. This one goes bonkers farming the pit, because if now your Spirit Hall triggers and does billions of damage, hundreds of billions of damage to kill someone, well, that will go over to another enemy, and that one dies and goes over to another enemy and yeah. A nice chain reaction to clear everything. If you're fighting a boss with adds, and you then destroy an add with your Spirit Hall, the damage jumps over to the boss. On your boots, you also want armor, max life dex, and then we have maximum ferocity stacks with the duelist aspect to get our damage even further up with the aspect of Plane's power. That one max rolled is obviously one stack more, another 20% more damage. We have vortex size and then evade cooldown or movement speed. For our ring, we want Rake manifests a spirit jack, which also casts Rake at a random enemy. This giving you, in a boss fight, just bonus DPS that then goes into your Spirit Hall. With a 100 cooldown temper, we get our ultimate all the way down to 8.55 seconds, and we're looking definitely for the attack speed, dexterity. The critical strike damage I didn't want here. I would have preferred max life or elemental resistance, if I'm honest. On the amulet, you want a greater affix to dexterity and preferable ranks into potent. If you get 5 ranks into potent, that's another 50% bonus damage. Then we play the Vehement Brawler's aspect for casting an ultimate skill, increases your damage by 45% for 8 seconds, and you gain 2 more ranks for your ultimate skill. And your second ring should pretty much copy your first ring with bonus attack speed. Now for the love of God, I could never get greater affix attack speed, but I found this little bad boy. And yes, that is a significant portion of my attack speed, it's 40%. In order to rival this, I would need a greater affix attack speed, a greater affix attack speed, a greater affix attack speed, and also attack speed on my amulet, to even remotely come close to the 80% I currently have, 84.1. Now you're going to say, but Pony, if you get 12 ferocity stacks, ferocity gives you another 20% attack speed. Is that not going to exceed the 100% attack speed? It is, and it works. Because in Diablo 4, you have an attack speed cap 1 and an attack speed cap number 2. And for Spiritborn, your standard stuff, your attack speed from your gear, goes into attack speed cap number 1. And then things like ferocity stacks, that 20% bonus attack speed, well, that goes over in attack speed cap number 2. Which means if you manage to get 100% attack speed bonus, the ferocity is on top, giving you even more. What I'm saying is, try everything in your power to get greater affix attack speeds that you really get the most out of the build. Again, a hardship with the build, because if you don't get the 100% attack speed bonus, you don't have something crazy going on, you'll never see the maximum out of the build, and you always feel like you're actually weak. And that's in general a problem with the Spiritborn at the current moment. You're not feeling strong. I picked up the Rotting Lightbringer with my Druid, and I instantly could jump into Torment 3. I was almost ready for Torment 4. I picked up the Loyalty's Mantle, the Balazans Maxlatl, and also the Razor Blade. And I was happy to do Torment 2 and had to fight to actually do Torment 3. And in order to get to Torment 4, I had to put on significant farm and also do all my tempers and masterwork already quite a bit to actually get there. The Necromancer, the Druid, and also probably the Sork all have a way easier time into Torment 4, and they have a way better power curve feeling strong. The Spiritborn gets there, but you don't get there as easy as the others. You might have more unlimited potential with the Spiritborn, but again, you also need to perfectly masterwork to even remotely get there. Now, I could do a pit 90 with my setup right now, and I really have to do a lot of work to actually get further. How do we stay alive now, though, and how do we have unlimited resource? For unlimited resource, it's quite easy. I told you that the Loyalty's Mentor reduces my rate down to 12 vigor cost. That's cool. Then we also have the Reactive Ooze, which invoking your Catalyst grants me bonus resource generation. We get 30% more from activating Ravager. We get Vigor when we actually run, and we get more resource generation as we're using a core skill. And then in our Paragon Board, you get Sapping, When you cast 3 Gorilla, Jack, or Centipede skills with the same spirit in a row, restore 15% of your vigor and deal 30% increased damage. This means whatever cooldown we're using, because all our skills are Jack skills, we are going to restore our spirit. And that with the bonus vigor generation, we're always vigored up. It's quite simple. What about staying alive now? Having always a barrier, because barrier is the name of the game. Standard, you gotta max out your armor. Maxing out your armor is the #1 thing to do. Maxing out your resistances is a bit more complicated. I'm currently sitting here with, well, that's my resistance. And I actually do have to take an instance for that. Yes, I'm using the armor and I'm using the all resistance instance to actually get myself to the armor value, despite having armor and armor rolls here. Those are going to be your biggest friends at the Alchemist. The Soothing Spices and also the Song of the Mountain. I consistently have them active to actually play my Spiritborn. As I also do use an Elixir of Fortitude to get that 20% bonus max life up to 12,000 life. And then you need the Arcana Bottled Wind. I use the Disintegrate for that because Disintegrate has the lowest possible cooldown, 5.3 seconds. No other one has a lower cooldown, maybe Propulsion, but I don't want to actually kick our enemies away. Therefore, we're sitting here at the Bottled Wind, giving us the barrier every 4 seconds, together with the bonus resource generation. And also, I Fortify and Heal for another bonus damage reduction of 15% as I'm fortified. And in order to have that barrier be even more mattering, we're actually playing barrier generation gems instead of dexterity gems. Cuts into my all damage, but it's really worth it. Then we're playing the Tum rune that says cast a non-channel core skill to invoke the Druid Erzin Bulwark. Yep, another barrier. So I only have to cast this 12 times, and 12 times happens really quick with 100% attack speed to consistently have a barrier of any kind up. And that gets amplified again by our skill tree with the Auspicious. You accumulate 3% of your maximum life as barrier every second up to 30%. And we need all of this barrier anyways because we're playing Vicious Shielding, 1% bonus damage for each 3% of your maximum life you have as barrier. So you want to have consistently barrier up to get the bonus thorns, to have the bonus damage, to be alive. And for all of this, you do need a certain amount of maximum life. That's why we get max life here, we get max life there, we get another maximum life. There's no maximum life, this maximum life could go away. But we're looking round about at 12,000. For that, you also want to get as much life as possible from your Paragon Board. But not only the life from your Paragon Board, you really want to look for all the resistances. I mean, like here, I have all the 1% resistances taken, right? Taken, and like here, this one is missing, taken. And I am actually looking to make my way into this one for another 6% bonus all resistance. If I actually take this node, so if I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more points, I could be getting my resistances finally resistance out. That leads us to the next problem with the Spiritborn. I currently have spent 250 points and I'm Paragon points 226, but I actually need to get to 250 Paragon points in total to finally feel done with the Paragon Board. But before, I'm just treading water. I'm just like kind of stuffing the leaks. With the 180 Paragon points, the Spiritborn doesn't feel that good. With 150, it doesn't feel that good. I started feeling good with 225 points. My Druid already started feeling good with 150. My Necromancer also with 150. That's harsh. If I hadn't played the Druid and the Necromancer beforehand to push my Paragon points, the Spiritborn wouldn't even be fun to play. This as your first character, you get lied to. You got tricked. You bought the snake oil. I'm sorry. And in order to boost your defenses even further, we hire Rahir for bonus armor and bonus 15% damage, and then Variana for that 10% bonus attack speed. In your Paragon Board, we're playing the Caniglyph, which increases our non-physical damage as we're actually doing that poison damage with the Balazans Thorns a lot. Therefore, non-physical works out very well. Into the Spiny Skin, as we use a cooldown, we get more thorns, and then we're going to be boosting the thorns, and we take more thorns, and we put in the Hoover's Glyph to boost even more thorns. So the magic nodes here, very useful. Up into the Convergence Board for 30% bonus damage, together with a Wildfire. Damaging an enemy with direct fire damage has up to a 30% chance to reduce one of your active cooldowns by 0.5 seconds. That together with the cooldown reduction of our Rake anyways, really has our cooldowns just deplete and we're able to use our skills consistently at any given point, that we always have the Vortex and we always have the Hunter. So nice. Then we get the Vicious Shielding for that bonus damage on Barrier, with the bonus damage reduction while you have Barrier and bonus Barrier generation. Technically, I want to take these 3 points too, but I don't have the points. And I had to get the Revenge Glyph up to level 45 to even activate it here. But it gives us another 15% bonus damage as we deal Thorns damage to our enemies, and it boosts the rare glyphs, which is actually quite nice. Lastly, we get the Sapping Board, and if you start out with this build, I would use the Sapping Board first and not last. If you have enough Paragon points, you can use it last. We get tons of attack speed here bonus, which is nice. And then we play the Ritual. For every 5 intelligence, we get more Mystic Circle potency. I currently have this up to 15% Mystic Circle potency, while we also get more damage and damage reduction in a Mystic Circle. There is more intelligence to take to even increase my Mystic Circle potency further, but I needed to pull points out of this to get into my all resistance to even stay alive. Again, if I had 25 points more, I could go into the resistance, then I could get even more Mystic Circle potency per in point, another 1.68%, to multiply out my all damage like absolute mad. Now, don't get me wrong, the Spiritborn is fantastic, but the Spiritborn is super S tier, is absolute snake oil, unless you're willing to sacrifice your soul to the company store, masterwork like there is no tomorrow, burn through your resources. It is not the biggest fun for the casual player. I am very sorry. If you're a casual player, you're better off not playing Spiritborn and actually moving over to the Druid or the Necromancer, which are way easier to flash out and way more fun to play. Tell me your opinion in the comments below and have a fantastic good day.